Welcome to Stardust Stereo. I'm Parker McPhinney. I'm your host. Today's the 23rd of October, year 2025. Today I'm going to talk about Scorpio. The sun entered Scorpio last night at 8:50 p.m. It will remain there for 30 days. Now, this happens every year, approximately at this time, give a day or two. And when the sun goes into Scorpio, it will be in a particular house in your chart. If you take a look at your birth chart, that house is where you want to attempt to shine. You want to uncover the Scorpio in you, no matter what sign you were born under. And what are those characteristics, you ask? Well, first of all, Scorpio is known for its intensity, its willfulness. It is a fixed sign. It's also known for its capacity to be able to hold in confidentiality many things. If you want something to stay a secret, you're safe telling a Scorpio. Scorpio has a lot of energy poured into the mysteries in life and in discovering those mysteries. And they also are traditionally known for being incredible investigators. You know, the private detective. So secrets are something they uncover and they also keep. Not all secrets are bad. Privacy is a good thing, and Scorpios tend to be very private unless they have a strong influence of some other sign in their chart. Now, while we are traveling through this Scorpio energy, it's a great period for you to uncover what secrets you keep from yourself, and also to investigate any areas that hold interest for you, to getting to the bottom of things. If you have goals, getting to the intricate details of what information you need in order to achieve your goal. Scorpios also got a reputation for being all or nothing, very intense, not a lot of shades of gray. They have very specific likes and dislikes. Now, what I also find super amazing is when an event is happening astrologically, such as the sun entering a new sign, you will often see in the headlines elements that represent that movement classically. And the NYTimes Magazine does not disappoint. Scorpio is also known for intimate matters, aka its sexuality, its appetite for the merging moments. This is not something that Scorpio-born people have a monopoly on. That can be true of a lot of the sun signs. But Scorpio's not interested in shallow. So therefore, deep intimacy, deep sexuality can be a form of spirituality. I mean, it is very much tied to the Kundalini energy, which is a spiritual awakening. So the NYTimes Magazine ran an article yesterday that I just found so fascinating with the timing of the sun going into Scorpio that I just could not stop laughing because it was also very well written. This article is titled, "I'm on Fire. Testosterone is giving women back their sex drive and then some." Now, this article is just written so superb. I cracked up quite often, and not because it's especially humorous in, oh, that's a joke way. No, it's right, spot on. It's written by Susan Dominus, and the article touches on something that most adults can probably identify it with at certain cycles in their life, both men and women. And it's just a great article. So I highly recommend, if you have access to the NYTimes Magazine, or you know somebody who has a subscription, you read this article. It's about a new drug that helps women if they've lost their libido, and it comes surging back like a teenage boy. That's the part that just really was hilarious to me. I don't know if that would be necessarily a lot of fun long term, maybe for a short while. But anyway, this is a great article in mirroring that we're in the Scorpio season now. And it's not just the sun in Scorpio. We also have Mars in Scorpio. And Mercury is currently in Scorpio. Today, the moon's in Scorpio. And very soon, Venus will be in Scorpio. So we're going to have a lot of the dynamic of the Scorpion energy. I had a friend, or I still have this friend, who told me, who happens to be a Scorpio and shares a birthday with me. I'm a Scorpio. Told me about a party in LA where only Scorpios were invited and they all showed up with sunglasses on. I just love that because it is so apropos, you know, sort of in the wings, observing, seeing what everybody else is doing before you make your move. Very Scorpio. Scorpios often have professions that deal with creativity. And this would be a time for you to explore your creativity in whatever house in your chart holds the Scorpio energy. It is fascinating that the highest form of creativity is making another human being. In my opinion, that's the highest form of creativity. So the sign that's associated, the zodiac sign that's associated with sexuality, Scorpio, or being sexy, does mirror this incredible form of creativity, making a baby. Now, not everybody that has a sexual relationship going on has babies because we have birth control. But when you think about the responsibility and the fascination of being able to make another human being, it doesn't get any higher on the form of expressing creativity. So you will often find Scorpios in the creative fields, but not limited to what we traditionally think creative. Creative finance is very much a Scorpio signature. Banking, working the stock market, running a mortuary. You know, Scorpio is birth and death. They're intertwined. It's about transcending. It's about constantly working to transcend, to reach that higher level, like the Kundalini going up your spinal column. On the negative side, and this is where Scorpios get very bad reputations, Scorpios can hold a grudge way long before it's even healthy. It's never healthy to hold a grudge, but a Scorpio has an incredible memory, kind of like an elephant, and they never forget a slight, and they never forget a kindness either. So just keep that little bit of information in your pocket. If you'd ever decide to cross a Scorpio, do so at your own demise. The FBI would be an area that probably holds a lot of Scorpio, or people who have Pluto, the modern ruler of Scorpio, strong in their chart. Surgeons, metalsmith, spies, CIA agents, covert people, covert kind of professions. Also, the psychologist, the one that wants to dig underneath and try to figure out what's making you so miserable. Because nobody goes to the psychologist when they're happy. They don't come to the astrologer when they're happy either. Sometimes they will, actually. I do have a lot of clients that come over many, many years, many decades even. But for the most part, when new people come to me, it's because something has gone a little haywire in their life. And they want to get to the bottom of how long this is going to last. Scorpio, in the chart and in people, if it's strong in your chart or wherever it is in your chart, you have to hold a magnifying glass over the areas where you might try to be too much of a control freak or pull a power play. That's the lower manifestations, power trips, hidden power trips. Most of the time, we play them on ourselves, but not always. Now, this year, 2025, as the sun enters Scorpio, there is a fantastic grand trine in water happening. So as the sun travels through Scorpio, it will eventually trine Jupiter, which is in Cancer, a water sign. It will trine Saturn, which is in Pisces, a water sign. And it will trine Neptune, that just re-entered Pisces, the water sign. So during this period of 30 days, the emotional life will be rich. And Scorpios are known for being very emotional. They may hide that emotion, but that emotional drive is what actually fuels the Scorpionic vibe to not give up and reach its goal. Again, they can tap into that all or nothing thing. If they decide on a set path, it is not deviated until the goal is reached. And that's a great trait to have if you're in medical school or you're hiking the Himalayas, or you have any kind of long-term goal that's not met overnight. You need that drive. They're very driven people, and they are not shallow. There's nothing shallow about any Scorpio that you will ever meet on this earth. They are not interested in shallow. They want to go to the very bottom of the ocean. What's on the floor of that ocean? That's what they want to know. And you're not going to find that out going halfway. There's also the Scorpio sting. Most often, or not, when a Scorpio is not expressing their true potential, they can turn inward. And it is a known story in Scorpio mythology. If you back them into a corner, they will sting themselves to death before they surrender. Now, that could be self-defeating. Well, clearly it's still self-defeating. But also, if you're dealing on wartime, the concept of take no prisoners is very Scorpion. With all these other planets joining in the Scorpio energy, this period is going to be pretty intense. This last 8 days of October and into the first 3 weeks of November. We have the government shutdown in the USA. That's the ultimate power struggle that we see playing. I am hopeful that this shutdown will end, I believe, by the first week in November. By the end of the first week in November. Mercury turns retrograde. You need to know this on the 9th of November. But on October 30th, it will move into Sagittarius. And then when it goes retrograde on the 9th of November, it will at one point return to the Scorpio energy. And it will not be out of the shadow until the 16th of December. But that does not mean that you can't do anything while Mercury is retrograde in Scorpio, or even when it's retrograde those couple of days in Sag that it's going to be. It means that you have to be diligent to cross the T's and dot the I's. You have to triple check. I've already dealt with some Mercury things that have worked out okay. Even when you are with that magnifying glass being extra careful, things can still trip you up. But generally, if you pay super attention, you get through the period just fine. I will probably do an additional write-up about the Mercury retrograde period. And if you're a member, you'll get it. That's one of the big perks of being a patron of Stardust Stereo. Now, on the 6th of November, Venus will move into Scorpio. And that is the alluring, forbidden, secretive love. And if you're wanting to be in a relationship, this Scorpio energy will help you to tune into your psychic awareness to recognize a potential partner. That is one gift that Venus in Scorpio can give, and also happens to be a little trait that sun sign Scorpios have, that capacity to recognize somebody that is going to be extremely important in their life before the actual dynamic has begun. Scorpios are natural healers. They happen to fancy the color black often. And they are extremely loyal. Once they make a commitment, it is taken very seriously. So do your own personal investigation to the Scorpio energy in your chart, in your birth chart, and rebuild and transform the elements that are associated with the house that holds Scorpio in your chart. Delve into some good mysteries. It is interesting to me as a child. Nancy Drew was my favorite book. And I think I read the entire series in the 4th grade, sitting in the back of the classroom. So explore the mysteries during this period, the spiritual, emotional, and even physical mysteries that might have caught your eye. Thank you for listening. I'm Parker McPhinney. This is Stardust Stereo. I'd like to thank my patrons. You know who you are. And I'd like to remind you, you are made of stardust. So go shine.